All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to unpack a framework that gets to the heart of one of the most frustrating problems in product development.
So picture this. You've got the A team, right? The sharpest product managers, the most creative designers, the absolute best engineers. So why do so many of the products they build still completely miss the mark? It's the kind of question that keeps leaders like you up at night.
While the framework we're digging into today argues that the secret isn't hiring more talent or finding some magic process. Nope. It's about weaponizing the natural conflict that already exists inside your teams. It's about building a structure for productive disagreement.
Okay, so first, let's really get to the heart of the problem. It's a structural issue, a trap that so many organizations fall into without even realizing it. We're calling it the silo trap.
Let me give you a classic example that probably sounds a little too familiar. A bank launches a new mobile app. On paper, it was perfect. The business case was solid, the engineers built it exactly to spec. But for the actual user, it was a total disaster. Why? Because the people who understood the business, the tech, and the user were never really in the same room having the same conversation.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You can almost predict the type of failure you're going to have based on which silo is in charge. When sales runs the show, you get a bloated product that just bolts on whatever the next big customer wants. When engineering's in charge, you get these beautiful, elegant solutions to problems nobody actually has. And when design has too much power, you might get a stunning product that ends up bankrupting the company.
So if silos are the disease, what's the cure? Well, we need a whole new mental model. We've got to stop thinking of a team as a group of people who are supposed to agree all the time. Instead, think of it as an engine, specifically designed to create and then resolve tension.
And that brings us to the core concept here, the product trio. Now, this is more than just a team structure. Think of it as a single cognitive unit. It's a product manager, a designer, and an engineer who are jointly responsible for the hard decisions, and they do it by leveraging their unique and often competing expertise. This table just lays it out perfectly. These are the three competing forces they have to balance. The PM is always asking, is this viable for the business? The designer is fighting for desirability, asking, will people love this? And the engineer keeps everyone honest with feasibility, asking, can we actually build this thing? And as you can see from those failure modes, if any one of these lenses dominates, the product is pretty much doomed. Real success lives in that tiny, hard-fought-for intersection where the answer to all three questions is a resounding yes.
And listen, this is the absolute key takeaway. The goal is not to get rid of this tension. The tension is the whole point. It is the feature, not the bug. You don't want a dominant culture where one voice always wins. You want a balanced one, where these three perspectives are in a constant, healthy, and respectful debate.
You know, this quote from the source material just nails it. The friction between what is viable, what's desirable, and what's feasible, that's what forces a level of creativity that no single person, no matter how brilliant they are, could ever achieve on their own.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you, as a leader, actually make this work in the real world? Let's talk about implementation, because this framework comes with a practical playbook. For the trio to actually work, they need some ground rules. First, you have to mandate that they do discovery. We're talking customer interviews, ideation, all of it, together. Trust me, a PM, a designer, and an engineer all hear completely different things in the exact same interview. Second, they have to live by disagree and commit. The goal isn't to water everything down to a weak consensus. It's to have the hard debate, make the best possible call, and then have everyone get behind it. And finally, you have to make sure they have constant high-bandwidth communication. Okay, now for the big one. What is your job in all this? Your role isn't to make the decisions for them. It's to design the environment where the best decisions can be made. So first, you have to organize your teams into these outcome-focused trios. Second, and this is huge, when they come to you with a disagreement, resist every urge you have to be the tiebreaker. Your job is to ask questions that clarify the trade-offs, not to have the answer. And critically, you have to reward the trio for the outcome, not for their individual performance. That one change will shift your entire incentive structure.
So let's circle back to that failed banking app for a second. For version 2, they actually formed a proper trio. The PM wanted to build a new referral feature, but the designer pushed back, worried about user trust. The engineer pointed out it would cause serious performance issues. That tension forced them back to the customer's core problem. In the end, they just focused on making the main deposit feature twice as fast and twice as easy to use. The result? They tripled mobile deposits. That's the power of this framework in action. Now, we always end these explainers with a single, clear action you can take on Monday morning. Let's move this from an interesting idea to something you actually do.
So here it is. This week, I want you to pick one project. Just one. Formally name the product manager, the designer, and the tech lead as its product trio. Then, communicate to them, and just as importantly to the rest of the company, that they, as a single unit, are responsible for the outcome. Don't just tweak a process. Fundamentally change the expectation of ownership. That is how you start forging breakthrough products in the fire of competing constraints.